our house is already full enough? My guess is probably not. Right? Some people maybe, but we don't have a storehouse big enough to contain it. So why do we hear ourselves then saying, I don't have enough, I can't afford it, that'll never happen? Because we've been lied to. How about that? We've been lied to. There is an abundance of all good stuff already swirling around us right here. Now let me make one thing very clear. I'm not talking about entitlement. That's a really nasty word that we hear swirling around these days, and there's a lot of what looks like people feeling like they're entitled. You know what I mean, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about entitlement from family, employer, nor government. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the one source that is bigger than all three of those things. We're talking about the one source that wants to give freely of ourselves. We're not talking about you owe me. It's a whole different thing. But are we entitled to all the good that God has? Yes. It's already swirling around us. We couldn't get any closer if we tried to. Now let me go to Ernest Holmes, because he has so much. I want to share with you other people's words so you realize it's not just me and being a Pollyanna, like, oh, life is so good and I'm abundant. This is such a prevalent conversation. Here's what Ernest Holmes says. God wills us to have everything. Were you taught that?
No.
How many of you were taught that? 2 people in the room were taught God wills you to have everything. Because Carol grew up here and Mary Morris grew up Christian Science. Everybody else was taught something different, right? God wills you to have everything. God wills you to have everything. God wills you to have everything. I really want that to sink. As we express life, we fulfill God's law of abundance. But we do this only as we realize there is enough good to go around. Were you taught that? There is enough good to go around. How many of you were taught that?
Yeah.
There is enough good to go around. A couple more hands went up?
Yeah.
4 or 5. Cool. Is that what the average Joe is hearing in the world around us?
No.
No, it certainly doesn't look like it. There is enough good to go around. Only as we know that all of God's gifts are given as freely and fully as the air and the sunshine, alike to all. When we realize, actualize, and live this, we give, what's the word I want? I want to say permission, but that's not exactly the word. We are adding to the whole piece of abundance. You may say to me, well, how does the person living on the street understand this? If I could get them in here to hear it, maybe I could help them understand it. If you can talk to somebody and get them to understand it, maybe they would. I don't know. But what I do know is that we live in it together. So you and I are one with the person who's living on the street. When we actualize it and we realize it and we get there is enough to go around, we activate that same energy. All manner of things can show up to help the people who are living on the street. Just like I said at the beginning that I prayed for heat. We didn't get it over there yet. Did I sit there and scream and cry and cuss because the prayer didn't get answered? Or did I say, oh, aren't I grateful that the prayer got answered by my inner voice who said, move to that. So we can activate within us how to help other people when we get there ourselves. So if I'm saying this because sometimes we go, yeah, okay, great, Sean, that's great. I'm going to get myself all abundance, but what about this person out there on the street? And so I'm telling you, when we get it, when we actualize it, things kick in, powers and ideas and suggestions and prayers are answered on ways to help the person on the street, you see? So don't underestimate the connection that we have. And don't underestimate your power in getting this. So coming back to Ernest Holmes, we got to then instill into our minds this idea that good is without bounds. instill into our minds this idea that the good is swirling around us all the time, that nothing is too good to be true. We get to instill that. And the ones who taught you earlier on in your life that this wasn't the truth, they were trying to control you. And I'm not saying that to be dramatic, but there's a lot of institutions who really are afraid to tell you any different, to tell you that you've got the power of God within you, and you can have that good. I'm not trying to control you. I want you to be shouting from the rooftops how great your life is. I want you to be dancing with joy and celebrating with abundance and say, I have this great thing. And I want you to tell me how wonderful your life is. Rather than feeling like the banner is, oh, I can't afford it. Sometimes people wear those things like that's a good thing. Oh, I don't have enough for me, I'm going to give it to you instead. I want all of it. I want us to have all of it. I want us to have that we have such an abundant life that we overflow it. But we've got to understand first it's always there. So what we're asking ourselves to do is to take what we see on the earth, we're taking ourselves to a bigger place, day in and day out. We're asking our faith, our minds, our soul, some part of us to believe in what we can't even see yet. Yes, that's what faith is. Asking ourselves to step out in a bigger way. Wayne Dyer has a beautiful quote. And did you guys get the handouts or no? Mm-hmm. The little fold? Not the blue one, the other one. Yeah. On the back in the center, I'm going to tell you what to do with it in a little while, but on the back in the center you see this beautiful quote from Wayne Dyer that says, abundance is not something we acquire. It is something we tune into. Something we tune into. Check your heart and see what you're tuned into. Are you tuned into abundance or are you tuned into lack? Are you tuned into enough or are you tuned into not enough? It's something we tune into.
Right where I am, I couldn't be any closer. Right where I stand, the presence of God is holding my hand. I can feel this energy, it's real, and all around me, this field, it heals me with this love. God's love is right where I am. Right where I can, I couldn't walk any further. Right where I step, the presence of God